Welcome to another Nutnfancy fixed blade knife review. And yes, my tabletop reviews will continue. They'll form the basis of basically the Nutnfancy channel, because in a controlled environment like this, I can remember to say most everything I want to about an item, whether it's a knife, a gun, piece of tactical gear, or whatnot. And this is a very high value fixed blade utility / defensive knife. And it is the Cold Steel Long Hunter. Let's look in the catalog, 2008 Special Projects catalog by Cold Steel. You guys will probably think, oh gosh, Nutnfancy again with the Cold Steel. Well, yeah, I go where the good blades are, where the good prices and quality, where both of those things can be found, and very frequently it's with Cold Steel. That's just the way it is. There's not a lot of makers making knives at this price point with this quality. There's just not. And there might be in the future, but right now Cold Steel is leading the way. This is the Long Hunter that I'm going to talk about in this review, and it has got a lot of nice things about it. Let's do story time with Nutnfancy real quick as I read the caption in the Cold Steel catalog. So curl up with a nice shawl, maybe a cup of cocoa, and here we go. Long Hunter. At the close of the French and Indian War, legend has it that the English fur traders, angry over a slew of recent atrocities, began to refer to the common French peasant / kitchen knife they had sold to the Indians for years as a scalper. Our modern recreation, which we call the Long Hunter, is useful for all kinds of utility chores like field dressing, skinning, or even quartering big game. I believe that. It has a sharp yet sturdy point for piercing and moderately curved blade with an extra thin edge that facilitates cutting, slashing, chopping, and shearing strokes. I believe that too. While the scalper has always been a tool, there is no doubt it could and has served in a pinch as a frighteningly efficient weapon. Its point, while quite strong, is still very sharp and will pierce with dagger-like ease. Its broad, flat, ground blade is capable of delivering astonishingly deep cuts and slashes. Is that true? Well, guess what? After looking at the Long Hunter, I'm going to say that it is. That is a nasty blade, dudes. Seriously. That thing is freaking nasty. It's very wide in plan form, meaning that it's going to give you some deep slashing cuts, and it's adequately long, 6 inches. Grab my ruler to make sure I'm not lying to you, which sometimes I've done, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a 6-inch blade. I lied. It's 7 inches from the base, and then you have about just over 6 inches run of cutting edge. But that's amazing. And also, it's flat ground. You know how I feel about flat ground blades? I love them. I think they cut really well. They shear well. They're easier to sharpen. They're more durable. I just love them. How's the thickness on the blade? Well, it's thin, just the way I would like a blade like this. I don't classify this as a heavy survival knife. This is mostly a defensive blade in my book. A lightweight defensive blade with secondary utility tasks. Now, the Cold Steel catalog said it would be good for skinning game. In my opinion, I think the blade's just a little bit long for skinning game. That's what I would say. I can generally like a shorter blade that's more controllable for peeling the hide off. The large blade. You can do it with a large blade. I've seen it done. But not preferred if given a choice. But a defensive blade, you betcha. 7-inch reach, about the same as a classic K-bar. You know, USMC fighting knife. That's an adequate reach. And not too thick. So that blade remains lively and fast in hand. And it's not really a Bowie clip blade. It's kind of a drop point, modified drop point clip blade, or clip design. Nice upsweep here, and like the catalog says, good for slash cut or stabbing cuts. I believe that totally. I don't see why not. It wouldn't function that way. Clean that blade off for the camera. But yeah, nice. And it comes razor sharp. Now, this is Cold Steel's 4116 Krupp steel. It's a German stainless steel, and they say that it outperforms 420 and 440 series stainless steels. I have no reason to doubt that. I don't have a lot of experience, actually like none, with 4116 Krupp. And this knife will give me some as I use it in the out of doors. I'll take this up maybe to the clinic and we'll put it through its paces. And we can thrash on this knife. Because the nice thing about the Cold Steel Long Hunter, it's not expensive. It's only $20. from my supplier, which is yourcornerstore.com. That's right. That may change in the future as this video gets older and older. You know, the price will change, the availability will change, the place you can buy them from will probably change, but I'll just mention that on the side. That's pretty cheap though. For a $20 blade, let's go up and thrash this thing. See what it does, you know? Honestly, I want to baton with this thing. Take it through a log, see how it does. I might be very disappointed once we get up there. We'll find out. But from all indications, at least as a defensive blade, I think the cold steel long hunter has a lot to offer. And like I've said in maybe some of my other reviews, like the cold steel OSS review, steel is actually almost secondary for a defensive blade. The kind and quality of steel. Now, I'm not talking about crap. We don't want to make it out of, you know, like this pot metal from a coat hanger. That's not what I'm saying. As long as we get a good quality steel that can pretty much hold an edge and pretty much be durable, that's fine for a defensive knife, because you're not going to use it that much. It's going to, if you are mostly carrying a long hunter for defensive purposes, hopefully you never use it. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't sweat about the 4116 Krupp. So some guys, you know, are always asking questions of that. Hey, is that steel good? Well, don't sweat it. I think we worry way too much about our steels and our knives, and it's pretty much wasted energy depending on what the application of the blade is. Now, if we talk about survival purposes and batoning through wood and hacking, then we might want a better steel, something that can at least hold an edge and be tough enough to withstand the whacking of batons. But again, Nutnfancy will put this to the test, and my gut feeling is it's going to perform pretty good. I think it's a full tang knife too, going through the polypropylene handle. That's a plastic handle. Nothing special about the handle. I mean, it's like a kitchen knife handle. It's rather slick. There's no, molded in grip pattern at all. It is what it is. You know, it's a $20 knife. Had to take a drink. And, you know, we get what we get. Not bad, though. So they could have done worse. Now, of course, there's no finger guards, top or bottom, at all. So that's not a good thing. But that's kind of in line with what they're saying in the cold steel catalog, is this is kind of reminiscent of the old design. And in those older frontier knives, they never had that. So this is primarily, like the catalog said, intended to be a tool knife, you know, for tool type tasks. So you can't expect everything. But if you hold it and if you rotate your hand around, so this portion right here is in the butt of your heel, in the palm of your hand, you can make sure you wouldn't go forward in a thrust attack, which I think the knife, again, could perform adequately. The nice thing about the Long Hunter, and I just can't believe I haven't got to this yet, is it's so lightweight. It is amazingly lightweight. If we put it on the scale with the sheath and everything, the cold steel Long Hunter weighs 6.8 ounces. Dudes, that's light for a 7-inch fixed blade knife. And again, that'll get to the fact that they didn't go crazy on the width of the steel. Yet that point is adequately strong, I think. By the way, nice finish on that blade. I'm pretty much blinding you with it. It's nice and shiny. And let me speak to that. Here we go with some philosophy from Nutnfancy. By the way, sorry for the backdrop. I just love that digital camo. It's cool. Anyways, it's good for a defensive blade to be bright and shiny like this one. If I bring it out in presentation to a bad guy, I want it to be glinting in the sunlight if I'm a civilian. I'd much rather, heaven forbid, if I ever have to get to the point where I have to draw a knife to defend my life or the life of my buddies or some other good people I'm with, heaven forbid I have to draw a knife. But if I do, I want the bad guy to be blinded by what you're seeing. Sparkling steel. Yes, because he might think twice about going through with his bad intentions. Most guys, if they have half a brain cell, would. If you break this out and it's glinting in their eyeballs and they see this long steel blade come out, maybe they're going to rethink robbing you. Maybe they're going to rethink raping your wife or whatever it is. Just might happen. So, when you're a civilian carrying a knife for defensive purposes, of course, adhere to your local laws and regulations. But if you bring your knife out, I like a bright blade. Now, if you're a troop in Afghanistan or Iraq, not so much. I don't want to have this on top of a ridge, glinting towards the Taliban. Basically a signal mirror. telling me here's where you need to send the rounds. That's why you see blades, just because I have this one handy, in Ontario Rat 1, blackened. You know, well, it's still kind of shining, but less so. Anyways, you get the point. Shiny blades are good for defense, and that's why Nutnfancy pretty much likes them for defense. I'd rather pull it out and not ever have to use it than have to use it. Anyways, back to the liveliness of the blade. It's quick, it's fast in hand, and here's a sheath, and it kind of sucks, but it's a $20 knife. What do you expect? It's a Cordura sheath. It's both stitched and riveted with a nice welt in it, so our edge never touches the stitching, and it fits nice and tight in there. No problem. Now, for a defensive knife, is this presentation ideal? Here we have just a very short portion of the handle sticking out. No, it pretty much sucks. I'd much rather have, you know, it cut down to here, but it's a friction sheath held in by friction. There's no snaps or anything like that. Of course, there can't be because there's no crossguard. But, you know, it is what it is. You're going to have to practice grasping that only portion that's available and deploying the knife, and you will have to shift your grip on it as well. How would you carry this knife defensively? Has just a simple nylon belt loop there. Well, one way I was thinking of that might be doable, and I'm going to bring out this pair of ACU camo pants. I'm not going to cut them, but I'm going to show you what you could do. Is if you're right-handed, you could actually put this in your waistband, like so. Hey, cutlery lover, I wish I had your pair of pants with me right now, but I don't. He has a real cool demo with this pair of pants that I like. Anyways, I would cut right here with a razor blade, just right there in that seam, and then I would stitch it with a sewing machine around the perimeter so it would be reinforced. You guys with me? So I have a little slit in my waistband of the pants I want to wear, and with that slit, sorry I don't have a pair of pants showing this, I would bring this loop through it. So it would come out, the loop would be exposed on the outside, I would bring my belt through that loop, which is coming through the slit, bam, and it would go right through here and carry on to my other belt loops. But the knife itself would be riding inside my pants with the only portion sticking up right here. You heard it from Nutnfancy. That's the way you could carry a cold steel long hunter, and nobody would be the wiser. And I think it would be, again, a very excellent survival blade. So, in summary, what do I like about the cold steel Longhorn? How about Long Hunter? Pretty much everything for the price point. Again, we have to take that in consideration. It's not an expensive knife, and so for the money, we have to be reasonable. I like the lightweight, a 6.0 ounce overall length for a 7-inch blade. That is amazing. Nice, sharp, flat ground blade. Bright finished. I like that. Handle's okay. Could use some more traction material. I would think about wrapping it with some type of tape, maybe a grip material from Brooks Tactical. But the downside to that is if we put it in that friction holster, it's just going to peel your tape right off the handle. So you're probably going to have to live the way it is. So the handle's not super great. It's adequate. Probably barely long enough for a non-lethal impact. It is lightweight, so it's probably not going to hack like worth a crap in the great out of doors. It might baton okay. We'll find out. Sheath is okay for what it is, and I showed you a way you could carry it concealed. And if this changes, and my reviews are always subject to addendums and changes as I learn more about the knife, I'll let you know. But Nutnfancy digs a Longhorn. High value, large, fixed blade design. I think you will too. Thanks for tuning in. Nutnfancy will be coming at you soon with some more knife, gun, tactical, cool things, reviews, philosophy videos. You know how it goes. Thanks for tuning, guys. I need your support. Over now.